Hello and welcome back to the channel. This time, we're covering perhaps one of the strangest route introductions in the past couple years, Route 222 Willingdon Express. This peak hour express route connects Metrotown and Phibbs Exchange via Brentwood and Kootenay Loop. With departures in either direction every 8 minutes, the route supplements local bus service along Willingdon. It's also one of the fastest routes in the region, serving only 4 intermediate stops in 15 kilometers. If you like transit-related content like this, please consider subscribing to the channel. Let's begin. Route 130 along Willingdon Avenue in Burnaby had been providing bus service since 1961, and TransLink decided it was time for yet another upgrade to service. A 2019 report by the company revealed that the 130 jumped straight into 7th place in the region in overcrowding in a year, being in the likes of the 319 Scott Road, which ranked 4th, and the 99 B line, which ranked 1st. So, by manipulating funds from the 10-year transportation plan and a cancellation of an expansion to Route 231 Harborside, the 222 Willingdon Express was put on track for an April 2020 implementation. The new route would have only 4 intermediate stops: BCIT, Brentwood Station, Hastings at Willingdon, and Kootenay Loop. Now this is where it gets super complicated, so listen very carefully. While that was happening, the R2 Rapidbus in North Vancouver was catching up from being delayed from its scheduled start in January 2020. Part of the rollout for that was to consolidate all service into Capilano University into a single service to and from the southern terminus at Phibbs Exchange. The idea behind that was to counter the effects of Highway 1 and the Cassiar interchange during delays. Let's put it this way, the schedule is notorious for jumping out the window when there is an accident in the area. Besides, having long routes that go through a major choke point will make it easily susceptible to delays. In total, the changes would be implemented in April 2020 as follows. Number 1. Route 239 North Shore Crosstown would be replaced by 2 routes, the R2 Rapidbus west of Phibbs Exchange, and a new route, the 245 between Phibbs and Capilano University. Number 2. The 245 would also replace peak hour extensions of routes 28 and 130, and number 3. Capilano students in Burnaby would shift to using the new 222 Express for faster service to connect to the 245. A 4th change would be implemented, targeting BCIT students: the deletion of peak hour route 125 between Patterson and BCIT. The 125 ran 7 buses per hour in the peak direction from September to May, with no service from June to August. It was introduced in 2009 to alleviate overcrowding on the 130 between Metrotown and BCIT. The intended longevity of the 125 is a minor subject of debate within the bus spotter community, but case in point, the 222 allows fast service to BCIT to be operated out of a central hub at Metrotown. So after everything, the service hours from the deleted 125 were reinvested into the 222 and expanded upon using the cancelled reorganization of Route 231 Harborside. But by March 2020, all classes would be moved online, rendering the introduction of the 222 very quiet. From being suspended just weeks after implementation for saving money, to running as a local service to support Route 130, service finally resumed normalcy in September 2020. To this day, some may argue that asynchronous learning has put a major dent in university ridership. It's been 2 years since implementation, so sit back and relax and let's do the ride review. So here we are at Metrotown Station. The area is a central hub for retail and entertainment for Metro Vancouver. It includes many hotels, restaurants, especially with a large concentration of Asian cuisine, as well as the province's largest shopping mall. The connecting SkyTrain station has consistently maintained a high ranking in yearly boardings. And that makes sense, as it's 22 minutes to the ends of the Expo line in both Vancouver in the west and Surrey and North Burnaby to the east. And this makes it an ideal centralized hub on the regional network. The Loop area and existing shopping mall are planned to be redeveloped in the long term, rendering a footbridge to the existing station a bit useless. But that's another topic worth saving for a separate video. The ride takes place mid-afternoon during final exams. For our service today, we board up Bay 5. The bus today is one of more than 150 NovaBus second-generation L-Drive units built between 2006 and 2007. These Quebec-built buses have space for 2 bikes, low floor accessibility, and a rather odd layout from the passenger seats to the front doors. One critique, however, is that the timing could not be worse as these do not have air conditioning. There are no plans to temporarily install air conditioning commissioning on these units, as they are planned for retirement in the next 2 to 3 years. Personally, I wish we could install them on these buses and then move the AC units onto the new buses as they arrive, but I'm sure that there are some additional costs associated in maintaining AC units in this way. Anyways, the journey out to Phibbs Exchange this afternoon should take no more than 35 minutes. We run non-stop to our next stop at BCIT. Willingdon Avenue is surprisingly steep, and we all know how snow removal, hills, and bus service make a bad combo out here in Metro Vancouver. Let's move forward to one of two locations where I think there should be a bus stop for this route. Moscrop at Willingdon. The existing 130 can barely handle secondary school loads from the nearby Moscrop Secondary School. The benefits aren't just limited to Moscrop Secondary, as putting a stop here would allow a transfer to Route 110 on the milk run to Lougheed Station. Now also at Moscrop is the start of bus lanes in both directions. These run until Canada Way and ensure that buses don't get caught in traffic on their way to the next stop. Not long after Moscrop, we reach our first actual major stop, Gordway at BCIT. The students here reap the benefits of a non-stop express between here and Metrotown. This post-secondary institution focuses on construction, trades, engineering, and business. It has consistently ranked third among other post-secondary institutions here in Metro Vancouver, and high enrollment numbers translate to high ridership numbers. The school is served by both Willingdon buses 130 and 222, and the slow run on the 25 King Edward bus, connecting here, Brentwood Station, the Canada Line, and UBC. The 130 and 25 both ranked in the top 10% of yearly boardings in 2019. BCIT continues to provide a major ridership base along the Willingdon corridor. Up next, we have Brentwood Station. So at this point, we are halfway on our journey to Phibbs Exchange. Brentwood is served by the Millennium Line with service out to Coquitlam and west out to Broadway and the 99B line. The name Brentwood often describes the neighboring mall, which has been here since the 1960s, but nowadays it encompasses a neighborhood of more than 120,000 square meters of mixed-use high-rise and retail along Lougheed Highway. The adjacent mall, the amazing Brentwood, is nearing the end of a master redevelopment which began in 2014. The shopping mall includes a fully renovated food court, an arcade, a new outdoor plaza, several anchor stores such as H&M, and a movie theater. The plaza creates quite a scene facing south when it gets dark out, especially during the winter months. Brentwood is a hub for major transit services in Burnaby, and the general area is set to replace Metrotown as the main entertainment hub here in Metro Vancouver. 222 buses load at Bay 1 going northbound, and Bay 7 at the southwest corner of the intersection. What's even crazier is that 10-15 years ago, none of this existed. Well, aside from the mall. But case in point, it's crazy what a SkyTrain station near a major shopping mall can do. Just look at Marine Gateway, Metrotown, and even Lougheed. Here at Hastings and Willingdon is an ordinary transfer to other routes along the Hastings corridor. Transfers are available to the 131-132 circulator routes to Burnaby Heights and Capitol Hill, the 129 circulator route along Gilmore, Route 116 to Coquitlam, and the R5 Hastings Street Rapidbus, which goes out to SFU in the east and Burrard Station to the west. The area is surrounded by general retail, goods, and services. Until this point, we had a half-seated load. Most passengers get off at this spot, leaving about a half dozen passengers left on board.
Next stop, Kootenay.
Moving west is the second of two stops where I think there should be a bus stop for this route, Hastings at Gilmore. A stop here would provide additional connections to the 129 Gilmore circulator service, as well as additional coverage to the Hastings Street retail corridor and surrounding residential area.
Next stop, Kootenay.
Now let's talk about the future of this route. Plans are already in the works for long-term replacements. Though not official, the 222 can be looked at as a precursor to a possible rapid bus route along Willingdon. Last time I checked, this is still part of the mayor's 10-year transportation plan. And even further out, according to Transport 2050, there are plans to install a SkyTrain connection from Metrotown to the North Shore. While no specific path is set, the proposal is one of 2 new SkyTrain routes proposed by the provincial government to both improve transit and slow down eastward sprawl. But let's face it, by the time any of these are built, a follow-up video is extremely unlikely. We reach our second to last stop at Kootenay Loop. This small loop has served Metro Vancouver for several decades and is the terminus for various services heading out to Vancouver, the North Shore, Port Coquitlam, and Burnaby. Northbound trips board at Bay 6 just next to the main loop area, and southbound trips call at Bay 8 along Hastings Street facing eastbound. This is also the last stop before crossing the broad inlet to the final stop at Phibbs Exchange. As mentioned earlier, the area becomes snarled when accidents take place at the Cassiar Interchange and the Second Narrows Bridge. Kootenay Loop serves as an important staging area for buses to await instructions from the control center. But the bigger implication here is that this stresses the need for a third rapid transit option heading across the broad inlet to the North Shore. I guess very few cities have a crippling bridge and tunnel infrastructure issue quite like Metro Vancouver. Now we're almost at our terminus at Phibbs Exchange, so let's do a final recap. The 222 is one of the fastest routes in the region, serving only 4 intermediate stops in 15 kilometers. It was created to reduce overcrowding on the existing 130 bus service, a bus that jumped into 7th place for overcrowding in 2019. Although it is operating as a peak hour express at the moment, it's valid to say that the 222 is a potential precursor to a possible rapid bus service along Willingdon. Personally, I think the 2 stops should be added. The one at Willingdon at Mosscrop, and the one at Hastings at Gilmore. This trip wasn't too crowded, but for trips heading to and from university classes, there will be substantially more people on board. That said, the scheduled time compared to a 1:30 trip leaving from Phibbs Exchange is actually only a 5-minute difference, which suggests 2 scenarios. Number 1. Overcrowding is truly the intent for the creation of the 222, and number 2, there are large portions on the 130 which do not attract much ridership. One that comes to mind is between Brentwood and Kootenay Loop. At the time of recording, ridership recovery compared to normal levels is at 70%. TransLink has prepared for the eventual return to 100% by expanding capacity on the Willingdon corridor, and this was done through the creation of Route 222. Now, fun fact, all routes which only have the number 2 for TransLink all run north to south. Route 2 McDonald runs south from Brentwood Station to McDonald Avenue on Dunbar Loop. The 22 heads south along Knight Street, also in Vancouver, and our route today runs north-south along Willingdon. We arrive at Phibbs Exchange on time. Southbound 222 buses leave for Metrotown Station from Bay 11. Phibbs Exchange is right near the freeway crossing into Vancouver by way of the Second Narrows Bridge. Opened in 1973, it is a hub which mainly serves local buses in the East North Vancouver area as well as out to Deep Cove. While lacking in SEPTA principles such as sufficient lighting, the facility looks to start a massive redesign later this year. It is named after Charles J.P. Phibbs, a former reeve of the District of North Vancouver who owned and operated a few industries in the area. For service up to Capilano University, head to the 245 which departs from Bay 3. Another transfer you might want to take note of is at Bay 2 where you can board the R2 Marine Drive Rapidbus. And for bus service out to Deep Cove, consult routes 211 or 212 from Bay 6 and Bay 7 respectively. So that looks to be it for this ride review. Do keep in mind, your ride conditions are most likely going to be quite different from what was stated in this video. Anyways, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. What do you think the Willingdon corridor will look like in the future? Leave it in the comments. Anyways, I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.